Join us on our unforgettable journey through the Scottish Highlands, where we start in the north and head east, encountering breathtaking landscapes, hidden beaches and a few unexpected challenges along the way. We saw the iconic Dunnet Head and nearly meet our doom at the Wailing waterfalls. Our trip was full of surprises. This is the third of 4/5, so come and follow us for more. So we start this part of our adventure at the north of Scotland, and let me tell you, it's quite bleak and it was windy. But as we work our way further north, the land towards the west, the landscape transforms. The further you go, the more beautiful it reveals itself, from dramatic cliffs, rugged coastlines to stunning beaches and waterfalls. This place is truly something special. In fact, the whole of Scotland is amazing.
We had previously been to John O'Groats and thought that there was the most northern part, but it turns out it wasn't. But first of all, we wanted to visit these beautiful stacks. Look how amazing they are. It just shows you just how much erosion can change things. Then we drove on all the way to the most real northern point. There was a lighthouse there that we had a quick look at, and then we walked up to the stacks were called Duncansby Stacks. Now we went to the most northern point, and it's a brilliant panoramic view. You can see all sorts. Apparently, we didn't spot them, but you can often see whales, dolphins and seals. It was really, really windy up here. Although it was very, very beautiful, it didn't stop the children enjoying it whatsoever. They really just enjoyed shouting into the wind. And my hair was all over the place, as you can tell in this little clip here. You can walk down and get to the beach as well, just here. We didn't actually end up going to the beach in this particular moment, but it does look beautiful from the side. If you have a look down now, it really does look great.
So after seeing all of the beautiful things that the north had to offer, we were ready for a day at the beach. It was quite a drive, but it was absolutely pouring it down, so it was a good day just to drive and get to the beach. And I'm not quite sure how to say this, Clashnessie Beach did not disappoint. The winds were still howling a little bit, but the golden sands and beautiful turquoise waters were absolutely breathtaking. It's the kind of place that feels like a hidden treasure. It's so peaceful, so serene. Just a heads up though, if you're planning to visit, just be ready for all weathers, because that's part of the adventure. They do have a zip line as well that goes across, but because of the wind, it wasn't on.
Now, I did mention that it was quite bleak in the north, but as we drove along the road, there were so many beautiful sights that I just had to stop and just take in all the beauty and have a look around. I must have stopped 5 times at little laybys just to have a little look around. It's absolutely epic. Scotland just blows me away just by how beautiful it is all the time. So much to see, such a vast, different scale of landscapes everywhere. After a long drive, we finally arrived at the most beautiful beach. It had a really long, winding passage to get down there. And then the beach was absolutely stunning. We were supposed to just be coming down to check it out and then get our stuff and get changed, ready to play in the sand and the sea. But the children could not wait. They were straight away running into the sea, fully clothed and having the best time. It was so lovely to see, really. After we'd been cooped in the van on a big drive for a very wet day, Luckily though, when we got to the beach, it was absolutely gorgeous. Still a bit cold, so we decided to get our wetsuits on and then get back into the sea. And our friends were on our way, just an hour or so behind us to come and join.
We're gonna go into the sea. I'm freezing. And one child's over there crying because they don't have over. Two are in the sea. One hates sand.
And before long, we were all in the sea, having fun and playing. I'm quite sure the children could have stayed here for the whole evening and just kept playing. They were having so much fun running in and out of the waves. There was a little cave as well to have an explore. So we walked as far as we could, but honestly, this sand here just by the cave was a little bit like quicksand. So we got as close as we could, had a little look, but they knew that in the next few days we were going to go to Smoo Cave. So they weren't too upset that we weren't able to get close because they knew we were going to an even bigger one really soon.
Then we made our way to Smoo Cave, one of the coolest natural wonders in the Highlands. The cave is split between sea and freshwater, and we ventured inside. We were greeted by a dramatic waterfall cascading down the rocks. It was a real adventure exploring this stunning spot, and you won't forget the echoes of those rushing waves in the cave. And there's a really wobbly bridge that my kids loved the most.
Smoo Cave has a really good circular path all the way around, back up as well. It's an amazing cave, and it's called Smoo Cave. Actual smugglers used to use it years and years ago. It has this bridge that goes over, which is a bit wobbly. My kids really enjoyed the wobbliness, to be honest. It can get busy, but it wasn't too busy today when we was visiting. It really is probably the biggest cave I've ever seen. You can really get into it. I can imagine that the sea could come quite close as well. You go over this little bridge and then you get to see the amazing waterfall at the other side. It was flowing quite fast, but apparently it can flow really, really fast and become a lot higher. So this part of the water is freshwater, and then it joins to the sea, which is obviously sea salty water. I've always wanted to see waterfalls going into the sea, so this had ticked one of my lists. It's lit up in some places, so you can really check out all the different parts of the cave. There is another part that wasn't open today, and I think that's a bit of a paid for part of the cave as well. They do guided tours and people can tell you all about it. You can just see how big it really is from here. It's absolutely massive. This bridge obviously takes some stick because of all the people crossing it, and then there's the sea and the river underneath it. My kids really enjoyed making it wobble because it was a little bit wobbly, so they was using all their weight to try and shake it from side to side. You can walk all the way out along the beach. It's like a little cove. I hear the kids shaking the bridge. You can actually see it wobble there, can't you? It's quite funny. And then you can walk around up the path up to this side, so you can get a view really from above. It's spectacular, really. We headed on and stopped to admire a few little viewing points that looked absolutely amazing. Look at the sea there, it's brilliant. Before we found Wailing Willow Falls. We also saw this famous bridge too.
Our adventure then took us to the legendary Wailing Widow Falls. The weather was brutal, and let's say it wasn't just the falls that made everyone cry. The conditions were so extreme that getting too close to the waterfall actually felt dangerous. The water was incredibly strong and we could have easily ended up in trouble. So we had a few pictures. Obviously I had a little dip, but I didn't actually get in. Despite the weather, the falls were nothing short of epic, and just as we were leaving, the sky turned beautiful and it was amazing again. Pretty
hardcore Scottish weather at this point. You can park at the top of the waterfall and walk right over the top, but we were advised not to because it being so dangerous. So we went to the bottom and then walked along, and it was really, really muddy and really boggy. It was throwing it down. The kids were not impressed. You could tell by the looks of the faces that they were not impressed with this walking in the rain. It's character building though, isn't it? It's good for them. It was really a tricky walk. We had to scale the sides here. Sometimes it was worse, sometimes it was better. In some parts, we lost our wellies. Delilah lost her weller here. We managed to get it back for her. She was not impressed at all. There was a fair bit of moaning and complaining going on this particular part of the walk. But, you know, it was worthwhile. The waterfall was beautiful, and the kids cheered up soon afterwards, really. Oh, here you can see the beautiful waterfall. It is so powerful. Now, it's called the Wailing Widows because some people have actually fallen off before and created widows. There's been quite a few deaths from this waterfall. So it's one that I really wanted to see. And just as you got closer, you could just see how powerful it really was. I did intend to go have a swim in here, but when I got here, I realised that was not possible. I would have got blown away and hit every rock on the way down. I got in as quick as I could. There was definitely no way I was swimming in there, so I just got in by the edge here. That was pretty much it, really. Had a little sit down just to feel the cold, but I definitely wasn't going in for a big swim because it was too strong and too powerful. I could feel it pushing me just here at this point, so I wasn't going to risk hurting myself. You could feel the water and the wind from the waterfall as well. It was pretty amazing. I headed a little bit closer so I could really feel the full force of the waterfall. Quick pause for the waterfall photo here, as per usual. And then it was time to head back because the children were moaning a little bit. They definitely had enough at this point. So it was time to get back. After enjoying the waterfall as much as possible. Unfortunately, no getting in, no swimming today. I still definitely enjoyed it though. On the way back, my daughter noticed this wet through little bird. The water had obviously soaked it as well as the weather, and it was just not looking in a good state. So we decided to put it somewhere a little bit warmer so it could get dry and hopefully it had a chance to survive. Then it was time to walk all the way back up to the van. There it is at the top of the hill. And typically the sun came out and the weather was beautiful on the way back. Look at that beautiful sky after we'd had all that rain.
We were excited to then hit the famous Ardvreck Beach next, but the car park was a total mudslide. It was packed with visitors in the other car park, all the camping spots were full, It was just too much of a muddy challenge. I'd have got my van stuck, so we didn't end up staying there. We had to give it a miss. It was a bit disappointing, but we didn't ruin the day after all. There's so much beauty around in Scotland. You just have to keep exploring. So we went to the next closest beach, and that was epic too. Bit of a drive down the west coast. The roads were beautiful, and actually they were, you know, just enough for one car at some points, but Scotland was really prepped for it. Then we got to a beautiful beach, not the one we hoped for, but still, nevertheless, this beach was absolutely gorgeous. This is Clashnessie Beach. The sands were beautifully golden, the sea was blue. There was actually quite a lot of wildlife here as well. There were jellyfish and birds, and they had a little visitor centre that had lots of skulls of washed up animals such as dolphins, porpoise, seals. So there'd definitely been a lot of wildlife. One of the dead birds that my decided to show everybody. Yeah, another stunning beach. So the children enjoyed finding things. There's a little baby jellyfish there, and just exploring. And there'd been a really big storm, so there was a lot of creatures that had washed up on this particular beach. And they did have a bit of a place where they asked you to take any skulls. We didn't actually do that though, we just left them, and the beach washed them back again so we could carry on feeding the ecosystem. It was absolutely stunning, so beautiful, and the kids had a great time running in and out of the sea. Now we stayed at this little kind of campsite. It was kind of like a man's house, and he was using his old farmland for people to park up on, which was really nice. The campsite just across the other side of the beach was full, which many places we found were even in September, October time. So if you are wanting a campsite, it is best to book, but there's lots of places that you can find to just pull up and stay in Scotland as long as you're respectful. And we stayed just here, so you could wake up to this gorgeous view and the kids could play for hours on the beach, and then again in the morning. And the sunset here was absolutely stunning. We thought we'd lost these wellies, but the next morning we found them on the beach. We had a great sleep, and it was lovely to hear the sea hushing us to sleep. The next day we had a look
and just admired the view. There were public toilets across the beach and along the path, which was really handy, so we went to use them.
We kept on heading south, and we were eventually going to go to the Isle of Skye. There's a few more things we wanted to see before that, and we were just driving along and saw this epic castle on the way. This one was like perched in such a dramatic location, offering dropping views. We had to actually go over some water to get to the castle because it was in a lock, and it was like the perfect pit stop, and we made our way through this beautiful rugged part of the country.
We found a little place to park, like a lay-by at the side of the road, and just enjoyed this beautiful loch and the beautiful skies. And eventually we found this beautiful castle called Ardvreck Castle, which was quite unique because it was almost on its own little island. We could just about walk across the water, rolling up our trousers to get across, but I don't think this will always be the case, as some of it was definitely fresh water at one side, but at the other side it looked like seawater where you could see waves, so I can imagine the tide comes in a little bit here, and you don't get to walk across so easily, but we were quite lucky. We walked across and explored this castle ruins. There was so much of it missing, but still parts that looked quite intriguing, a dungeon. So yeah, it was very atmospheric and had so much history to it again. After a lovely explore of the castle, the island, a play in the water, it was time for us to head on our journey to continue the west coast and eventually get to Isle of Skye. We were quite lucky to spot a few deers as well.
Scotland's Highlands certainly tested us, from battling the elements at Wailing Falls to navigating muddy car parks, but with every twist and turn we've discovered places and more breathtaking views than we ever expected. Stick with us for more adventures on our part 4, and see what we get up to next.